I've spoken to a lot of these youngsters. ये कहते हैं कि हम अपने पेरेंट्स से इतने अटैच्ड हैं कि हम घर छोड़ ही नहीं सकते, और वो ये कहते हैं कि जो छोड़ के बाहर निकल गए वो शायद अपने पेरेंट्स से कम अटैच्ड हैं और वो सेल्फिश हैं.
Razum, there are two situations. One is somebody who has not left home and therefore has accepted a fact that he or she may not prosper so much, may not grow so much in social stature कहिए, his own achievements, his own self satisfaction, क्योंकि stretch नहीं किया है, right? They stayed in their comfort zone, so they have been with their parents physically.
They don't chase a lot of money, and that's when people say they don't need money and money is not important.
Imagine there is a hill and there are two guys sitting at the bottom of the hill. एक ऊपर गया ही नहीं है और दूसरा ऊपर जाके नीचे आके बैठा है. So if you look at it, both are in the same state. But if you see what is behind it is totally different.
Death to me is very significant, but I am very insignificant when I look at the galaxy of things. So what should be my ultimate goal? Is it something beyond money as well? I mean, what drives you today versus what was driving you when you were 25? Sandeep Dandekar, welcome to the Mastermind.
Thank you, Rajan.
I'll start with money, because money has been the most significant reason behind why I have transitioned into an entrepreneur, why I wanted to have so many things, because I have stemmed from a place of scarcity, and especially money. And I've always listened to people saying that money is not important. दो लोग, पहले वो लोग जो लाइफ में बहुत सक्सेसफुल हैं, उन्होंने बनाया है, बहुत सक्सेस हासिल करी है, who never left their hometown. इन लोगों ने कभी अपना घर नहीं छोड़ा. ये स्पेशली इंडिया में ये वहीं रहे जहाँ पे इनके पेरेंट्स रहते हैं, अपने घर में, अपने शहर में. एंड देन दे गो आफ्टर अ वेरी स्टेबल लाइफ. वो कभी घर से बाहर दूर नहीं गए जहाँ पे उनको खुद सारी चीज़ें करनी पड़ी, और ये घर पे ही कहीं आसपास कोई जॉब लेके दे सेटल अराउंड एंड देन दे वर्क. They don't chase a lot of money, and that's when people say they don't need money and money is not important. इन दो लोगों को मैंने बोलते सुना है. एक तीसरी ग्रुप है, people who move out of their hometowns, who move out of their home, and these people, they say that money is important. क्या सही है और कौन सही है?
Yeah, I think I'll pick up a few clues from what you yourself said in your question. आपने एक चीज़ कहा कि दो लोगों से आपने सुना है, primarily people who don't have a lot of money say money is not important for whatever reason, and you said people who have been extremely successful in monetary terms, they say money is not important. तो जब आपने पूछा तो मुझे एक analogy visualize हुई as you were just asking a question. Imagine there is a hill and there are two guys sitting at the bottom of the hill. एक ऊपर गया ही नहीं है और दूसरा ऊपर जाके नीचे आके बैठा है. So if you look at it, both are in the same state. But if you see what is behind it is totally different. So किसी भी चीज़ को denounce करने का या तो उसके बारे में कहने का कि this is not important for me, and when the thing that you are talking about is as significantly important as money, I think you really understand what you are saying and you have a right to say that money is not everything for me. Only when you have demonstrated that you have the ability to earn a lot of money, and then you say that, but my interest is much beyond that. So which means the purpose, the objective of my living, what is most important to me, does not stay shunted with money but goes much beyond. That makes more sense than somebody who never earned the money, and maybe he means it or she means it, but they haven't demonstrated. So who will take it with respect or face value? Anybody will say, you have no right, because जो रास्ता आप चले नहीं, उस रास्ते जाना नहीं है बोलने का कोई मतलब नहीं बनता है. So another thing you talked about is people who left their hometown and people who did not. History has proven, today you see socio-economics, you see whether within India, you see outside India, migrants have always succeeded more than the locals. ये फंडामेंटल फैक्ट है. आप यूएस में देखिए, आप यूरोप में देखिए, आप कोलंबस के टाइम से देखिए, हाउ ऑस्ट्रेलिया वाज डिस्कवर्ड, हाउ यूएस वाज डिस्कवर्ड, राइट. देयर हैव बीन ऑलवेज एक्सप्लोरर्स who wanted to stretch the limits, who had the curiosity, who had the ability and the zeal to put their own life at stakes just to explore and go to new territories. And possibly they never enjoyed the fruits of their effort in their lifetime. जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया की प्रॉस्पेरिटी और जो अट्रैक्टिवनेस आज है, वो जब ऑस्ट्रेलिया डिस्कवर हुआ था तब तो नहीं थी.
Obviously.
बट वो क्यों हुई? बिकॉज ऑस्ट्रेलिया वॉज डिस्कवर्ड एंड बिकॉज somebody explored, somebody decided to go there. If you look at India also, migrant crowd is always more prosperous. क्योंकि वो जब एक छोड़ छाड़ के, अपना घर छोड़ के, अपने रिलेटिव छोड़ के, घर छोड़ के जब निकलता है, तो ही गोज विद द मिशन और शी गोज विद द मिशन कि मुझे कुछ करना है, मुझे सक्सीड करना है. और वो जो इंटेंसिटी होती है, वो जो एक ज़ील होती है टू ओवरकम द ऑब्स्टेकल्स, कि नहीं मुझे ये करना है किसी भी हालत में, वो इंटेंसिटी, somebody who has never left their comfort zone, of course they have their own gains. मतलब आप अगर मुझे पूछेंगे कि if fortunately I am born in a state where others find attractive to come and settle, so in a way I am fortunate. Suppose being a Maharashtrian, I am born in Maharashtra, I am fortunate because जहाँ पे दुनिया आ रही है वहाँ पे मैं पैदा हुआ हूँ. But does it mean that I have to kind of close my doors? I have to be satisfied with very little. I should not have big dreams. I should not be willing to show the intensity, the entrepreneurship that possibly the migrants are showing. No reason. In fact, I have more opportunity because ये माहौल मेरा है, मैं यहीं पे पैदा हुआ हूँ. But ये tendency नहीं होती है. So this is what I think.
And who do you think is selfish? I'll give you some context. जो लोग घर नहीं छोड़ के बाहर निकलते हैं एंड दे स्टे विद देयर पेरेंट्स, आई हैव स्पोकन टू अ लॉट ऑफ दीज यंगस्टर्स. ये कहते हैं कि हम अपने पेरेंट्स से इतने अटैच्ड हैं कि हम घर छोड़ ही नहीं सकते. और वो ये कहते हैं कि जो छोड़ के बाहर निकल गए वो शायद अपने पेरेंट्स से कम अटैच्ड हैं और वो सेल्फिश हैं. देन आई स्पीक टू द अदर ग्रुप, पीपल हु लेफ्ट देयर होम्स, दे से कि मैं अपना घर कैसे ना छोड़ूं, मैं अपने पेरेंट्स से इतना अटैच्ड हूँ कि आई वॉन्ट टू गिव एवरी हैप्पीनेस बैक टू माई पेरेंट्स. मैं उनको वो सब कुछ देना चाहता हूँ जो वो डिज़र्व करते हैं बट उनके पास नहीं है. कौन सेल्फिश है?
So in my view, Razum, there are two situations. One is somebody who has not left home and therefore has accepted a fact that he or she may not prosper so much, may not grow so much in social stature, कहिए, his own achievements, his own self satisfaction, क्योंकि stretch नहीं किया है, right? They stayed in their comfort zone, so they have been with their parents physically. That's one level of being with your parents and doing service to your parents, right? Second is you want to do much more to your parents because you love them, you have gratitude. Let's say they want to go out, explore, in the process grow and get pride to their parents. दिस इज ऑल्सो वन थिंग, राइट. एक सोशल प्राइड होती है जब पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं कि अरे मेरा बेटा ये है, मेरी बेटी ये है, सो दैट्स देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ सोशल प्राइड. सेकंड इज पॉसिबली व्हेन यू स्ट्रेच योरसेल्फ, जब आप अपनी टेरिटरी छोड़ के कहीं जाते हो तो यू अचीव मटेरियल प्रोग्रेस, यू अचीव मॉनेटरी प्रोग्रेस. And there is definitely going to be a time in your parents' life and your life when your parents will need less of your physical presence, but they may need more money. What money can buy. And this will bring us to one of the things we were talking about some time back, how important money is again. Because what money can buy, only money can buy. Unless you are monetizing your time, your money doesn't become time.
True.
So आप अगर parents को time दे रहे हो by being there with them, you are not monetizing your time. So tomorrow when they need money, you don't have it. So it's all about balancing and understanding how the needs will transcend and how are you preparing yourself to be able to address those needs when the time will change.
कि कितना पैसा इम्पोर्टेंट है और हर के लिए तो ये अलग होगा ना. मेरे लिए 1 लाख महीना इम्पोर्टेंट हो सकता है, आपके लिए 4 लाख बेस लाइन हो सकता है. कोई कैसे समझे कि कितना पैसा इम्पोर्टेंट है और कितना होना चाहिए? व्हाट इज़ द बैलेंस? हाउ डू यू फाइंड योर बैलेंस?
आई डोंट थिंक देर इज एनी, ये मेरी सोच है, इसका कोई एक राइट और रॉन्ग आंसर या कोई एब्सोल्यूट आंसर नहीं हो सकता है, बिकॉज a few things, possibly what I will think is adequate or enough money for me today, what I felt 5 years ago, what I'll think 5 years ago could be different, what I'm thinking, what you are thinking at the same time could be different. You talked about baseline, which is very good. So आप कहाँ से आ रहे हो, उस basis पे what's your upbringing, what's your datum line, that also will define what is the minimum money. How do you define this is minimum for me, this is okay for me, right? And we also know some stalwart examples like, we have founders of Infosys. They are known for simple living. And we have so many examples like that. People who have tremendous amount of wealth. But how much of it they are showing or bringing in their personal use is hardly anything. They use a lot of money for charity. So again, it is about what are your objectives. When we talk about wealth, money is only one part of wealth. Money is not wealth, because your health is your wealth, your good karma is your wealth. I mean, there are 10 things you can talk about as wealth, right? So all this put together is wealth. Money is one very strong part of it, no question about it. Like I said, अगर स्कूल की फीस भरनी है, डॉक्टर के पैसे देने हैं, तो your good nature will not pay school fees. There you need money. But again, how much money is enough for you? It is a function of what's your larger cause, right? Where do you place money? Where do you place material needs in your life? I think it's a function of that. और baseline का भी अगर हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, तो we have also seen people who have become very successful. They became very wealthy, and they gave away that wealth because there was transformation in them. They reached a stage where possibly their objectives became much bigger, much different than having money per se. They wanted to do more charity, maybe they wanted to have more empathy, do good to other people. So then money became less important for them, and they started using that money for some other people, So I think it is a lot about what is your state of mind at that time, where do you position yourself from the point of view of how much money I need now. Again, it is also a function of how is your macroeconomy. For example, if I decide at the age of 58, let's say today, if I say I have to retire, then there are arithmetics, there are mathematics, like what if I live for 20 years more? How much money I will need? Am I able to predict my economy, my depreciation, how the costs are going to go up? So all these variables are also there, which will put you in kind of a dilemma or thought and rethought. Sometimes you will think, if I have X amount of money, that's enough for me to live for 20 years. Then when you look at certain macroeconomics, you'll think, oh my God, no, that's not enough. And what if I run out of my money midway? That will put fear in your mind. Then you will try to hold on to your money or earn more money.
Yes.
And many times what I have seen, some people advertently or inadvertently make money as the objective of their life. That's where I think it's all fine whether you say I need so much money, but the minute you allow money to become an objective of your life instead of being a means. Money is a medium, right? We said school ka fees dena hai, money chahiye, khana hai, money chahiye. So it's a means. You pay, you give money, and you get what you want. So it's a medium. The minute I make money as my objective, that's where I think it messes up first.
Makes sense. And I can relate to this. When I was running my first startup, as I said, I was not even running a startup, I was just, now when I look back, I call it as a startup, but all I was doing was, I was just trying one or the other thing and seeing what works and how can I make money. 100 रुपये लगा के 110 रुपये कैसे बना सकते हैं, 110 लगा के 120 कैसे बना सकते हैं. Now when I look back, I call it as my first unstructured, unofficial startup. But I was selling dogs and I was making money. And when I was making money, then the only thing that it changed for me was that it gave me options to choose. So I think if money is the driver, then you're not having the right mindset. But if money is the fuel of your car, then you're having the right mindset.
True.
Because money then is only acting as the fuel, and then your vehicle is moving freely and exploring your choices. And when you're choosing, you've got the options available to you, open to you. I think this is, now that I'm thinking about it, this is why the people who are very successful, they say that money is not important because all their choices are available to them. And when all the choices open up, you don't want to choose the complex ones. You just want to choose, the basic ones. Like you wouldn't want to decide that forever would you drive a McLaren F1 or a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce. You would say no, a Tata car is good enough for me.
Minimalistic.
Yeah, good enough is good enough. So makes sense. There's one more aspect that I'd want you to answer, and this is a bit more complex than it. People who come out of their hometown, they say that I would want to become the next business tycoon. I'd want to become the next millionaire or the first millionaire in my family. Sir, agar usko, if there's God, I mean, that's again a very complex topic. I just believe, for the record of it, that I believe that if you do good, then it comes back to you, and if you do bad, it again comes back to you. So I believe in karma, and that's the only God. Otherwise, I'm really not a believer in any different forms of gods in religion. But then if there is a God, let's say, and if God wanted you to be rich, you'd be born into a Bollywood family, or you'd be an Ambani, or you'd be a Bhatt, or you'd be a Kapoor. But God made you some XYZ person in a sea of middle class family in India, and threw you down in a tier 3 city, let's say in the city of Jamshedpur in Jharkhand, in a typical middle class family. You come out of that state, that tier 3 town, you come to Mumbai and you say, I'm going to be the next business tycoon. You start your struggle, you start your hustle, and then suddenly there's lockdown in the country, and you're not allowed to move. Suddenly, as you're trying to understand and set up business, the government of India says, now from tomorrow onwards, we discard our old taxation system and we'll introduce new ones. So complexities out of syllabus are introduced. Somebody back in your family passes away out of nowhere. So God starts to inject out of syllabus problems in your life, because if you see your attempt to come out of Jamshedpur and be in Mumbai and become that super rich millionaire, you basically going against the will of God. Because had God wanted you to be rich, you would have been born in that Ambani family or that Kapoor family, but God had the choice. Again, this is complex, but I want you to get my overall idea, is that if God wanted you ultimately to be rich, it was very easy for him to make you the next Ambani, but he chose that you go to Jamshedpur and you live there. So when you try to become the next millionaire, you're basically going against God. Now, when you're going against God, how would any prayer help? Because you're opposing his decision. So that's the reason why I think a lot of people quit midway. What's your take on this thought?
I think I'm just thinking actually as you were asking this question, and even now, because there is a lot of merit, and I also resonate with you to a great extent with what you said. But at the same time, if we end that thought with a conclusion that therefore I have to remain in the circumstances that I was born in, because that is what was God's will, then there would be no change in the world. There would be no progress. There would be no, I mean, the world today that it is, good or bad, I'm talking about the good of world now, is because of so many individuals who broke the barrier, who beat the obstructions, who
went
did
against God.
Yes.
Okay.
So, does it mean that God wants you to do this, therefore you're born here, so just stay in that? No, possibly. But if you want to flip it and say that therefore I want to make the best of what I've got, be as happy as I can with what I have, but do the best with what I'm given rather than brooding over what I don't have. You can build on it. For example, you have Sachin Tendulkar and Sunil Gavaskar, who are 5 feet 5 inch. You ask them, would they not have liked to be 6 feet tall? Of course they would have liked to be. Did they cry over 6 inches that they didn't have? Or did they build what they are and tamed 7 feet Garners and 6 feet 3 inch Michael Holdings of the world? So you have to still not be complacent. You have no right to decide, therefore you will not try to break the status quo or let's say the chains of poverty, the chains of lack of education, because that is how the world has come where it is today. I'm again talking about only the good side of the world, because at the same time there is a lot of bad that has come over the generations, right? But let's leave that aside for a moment. And again there is a circle, right? You also see people who are born in very rich family and they make वो जो कहावत है लाखों के 12,000 बनाना, that also happens.
Yes.
So if you flip the viewpoint that you said, if there was a child who was born to a billionaire, why would the child become bankrupt? If the God wanted the child to be rich, then why the child became bankrupt? So only thing is we have to be cognizant that there is a lot in this world, possibly in this universe I would say, that we don't understand many times unless we develop that acumen and an eye for that vision. So if there are some messages coming to me, if there is something that is very profoundly happening to me which is telling me that this will work or this is not working, we must not go to an extent where we lose heart, we become negative. It's like parents and kids. Parents know कि ये मेरे बच्चे में ड्राइंग का हुनर है, ये मेरे बच्चे में म्यूजिक का हुनर है, right? Of course, if they have that acumen, they have done the effort to identify the talents. But what if they say that नहीं वो तो गिटार बजा रहा है तो मुझे भी गिटार ही बजानी है, but he doesn't have that talent, right? So many times along the way we also have to pick up cues of what's happening to me and why. And then if certain thing, you may have started your journey with some objective. मैं जा रहा हूँ मेरठ, लेकिन रास्ता मुझे कलकत्ता लेके जा रहा है, तो 2 ways. One is no मुझे मेरठ जाना है, तो I will bend the way and I'll go to Meerut, which is a great approach. But somewhere if you think that possibly I'm destined to go to Kolkata and now is the time that I should try to do my best while I'm on my way to Kolkata, वो थोड़ी maneuverability हमको आनी चाहिए. And I think that is where you have to start understanding a little more of spirituality. When we talk about karma, if we want to believe in the cycle of rebirths, there is something called, I don't know if you know about soul contract. If you know about Akashic records, if you have a little interest in knowing about these things, they start fitting into your jigsaw puzzle, and sometimes you start seeing a picture, you start getting an answer. But again, some people may not want to believe in that. Some people want to believe it's possibly considered more practical to have a very scientific and arithmetical mind and not believe in mystical kind of things. It's all about one's taste.
That makes sense. And I'll come back to this. But with this example of God throwing you in a tier 3 city and you're moving to Mumbai, I think this should give people enough reasons to hang on and, to persist and to hustle. That if life is bad, if a lot of things are going wrong, despite of great efforts that you're putting in, इसका मतलब ये है कि आप कुछ तो सही कर रहे हो, तभी आउट ऑफ सिलेबस प्रॉब्लम्स आपके लाइफ में आ रहे हैं. अगर आप घर पे रहते, अगर आप कुछ चेंज करने की कोशिश नहीं करते, तो ये आउट ऑफ सिलेबस प्रॉब्लम्स आपके साथ नहीं आते. A lot of people started with me in the journey of ground up from competitors view. They left midway, some of the other reason. कभी मेरी गलती, कभी किसी की गलती, कभी कुदरत की गलती. But now that I understand this concept of God throwing somebody in a tier 3 city, the point is that all of these people were going against the will of God, and God made it more and more difficult for you to genuinely qualify to jump that wagon and come into that different tier. And people who stopped midway because of numerous problems that popped up, obviously out of syllabus, they said, why me? And then they turned back and said, no, we're good in tier 3 city. So this makes sense. But for people who are still there, juggling and hustling, I think this is a good illustration of why those problems are there in their life and why they should really, why it's the problem that they genuinely deserve, because
Correct.
this is for the better. Coming back to what you said about spirituality, you know, the Buddha, he had 4 seals that he would precisely present whenever he would give a talk. One of the seals was all things that compound are impermanent in nature. So at one end, when I'm looking at amassing massive wealth, amassing money, at the other end of it, I hear Buddha saying that all things that compound are impermanent in nature. How do I make any sense out of what the Buddha says? Is because what he's saying is things that compound are not permanent. So that means that all the money that I make, it will not remain with me. It's not permanent. I am not permanent. The world existed before I was born. I appeared and the world appeared to me, and when I die this world disappears, and but the world continues and I am just a insignificant part. Death to me is very significant, but I am very insignificant when I look at the galaxy of things. So what should be my ultimate goal? Is it something beyond money as well? I mean, what drives you today versus what was driving you when you were 25? Has it changed?
Yes, definitely. I think your awareness and therefore your mindset, your objectives, your circumstances, everything changes with time, and it must, because if it doesn't, then what's growth? Otherwise, you are only aging if nothing changes. So it is only good that it is changing, because change is growth. As long as it is changing for better, you should be happy. If it's not changing for better, there is a matter of concern.
But then, why do we chase money at all, or wealth at all? Because everything is impermanent. Why not just be at my hometown and chill and relax?
It is all about how much. Again, I'll come to awareness. Second is belief. Do you really want to believe that there is, जो भी हमारी philosophy में है, which is beyond material, beyond body, beyond your this life? If you don't believe in all that, which is fine, I'm not here to argue about that, but if you don't believe, then everything becomes this life, me and material. The minute you deny all that, then what remains is me, this, and this life of me. And then you obviously want to have all the comforts, all the respect, all the lime and, what do you say, glory and limelight over you. Because when you are not seeing anything beyond that, what remains important and prominent is only this existence. And you want to pamper it, because there is nothing beyond that. But the minute you start thinking beyond it and start accepting a reality, like you said, that the world existed for million years, it will exist for maybe million years more. And in our philosophy, it is also said that your soul is forever, your body perishes. You say you are not permanent, but you have been part of this universe for million years again, in one form or the other. Once you understand that, then I think more and more awareness and therefore more and more ease.
Is it important to understand that?
It's a choice. And I think it's a stage of our evolution that we are. I'm talking about not evolution as a mankind, but this life, I believe so. This life is a very long time curve of evolution of your soul. And at your lower possibly part of the evolution cycle, you will tend to think, this is me, this is my life. My material existing, physical existence is my life. Possibly when you graduate to a higher level of soul awareness, that is when more acceptance to things beyond this material and your body and this life comes. So nothing is wrong, nothing is right. It all, I think, depends upon where on the life cycle your soul is residing right now.
Okay. The 23-year-old guy who's watching us right now and is about to skip to the next exciting video, finding us boring and too philosophical, what is your advice for him? And generally for people in their early 20s or late 20s, what should they focus on?
Right. I think I'll say to them what I say to most of the startup founders whom I work with. I'm one of the ways I filter out those founders whom I want to work with is the first thing is I ask them, why do you want to be a founder of a business? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And if in clear words or direct or indirect, if I get one dimensional, unidimensional answer that I want to be wealthy, I want to earn a lot of wealth very soon, I don't work with them. Because I always tell them that have a business idea, have a plan which has a much larger cause, where you see how your endeavor, how your effort is going to expand the circle of benefit to many people, many different causes. Have a larger cause and let money be a very important part of it. No question, it is very important, and it has to. No business succeeds without money, and if you succeed your business, you cannot be poor. I mean, it doesn't make sense that you are a very successful entrepreneur and you are very poor. You may do a lot of charity, you may live simple, minimalistic, that's your choice. So money is very important, but that has to be a part of your goal system, I would say. And you will very rarely hear this word of goal system. Everybody calls a goal, or I have 2 goals, I have a goal. But you have to have a system of goals, I think. And as you move forward in time, you must keep refreshing your objectives, your goal. Why are you living? What's your cause of living? Because obviously, as I said, when I was 15, when possibly you were 20, today you, and maybe 20 years down the line you will have different reasons for which you are living, right? And that graduation must keep happening. So, coming back to your question, if there is a 25-year-old guy who is watching this and before he moves on to the next, I will tell them, ask yourself a question, what is a larger cause for which I am living, which goes beyond me and my money? Work for it. Money will come. And that money will give you a lot of joy, much more joy, because it's for a larger cause. You can do better of many other people with your money. And that joy is what money can't buy.
So choose a work that really creates an impact.
Yeah.
And stays long term.
Yeah. Was it too elaborate?
I'll just summarize it in 2 lines. ये क्या कि 2 कदम चले और मंजिल आ गई. काम कुछ ऐसा करो कि पैरों में थोड़ा दर्द रहे.
क्या बात है.
So what you're really advising is that choose work that makes not just short-term meaning. Obviously, it gives you money because that's what your age needs, but also follow something that outlives you. When I was starting, I had 2 choices to make. I've always thought that I would want to create something that outlives me, and somebody gave me an advice कि people का पेड़ लगा दो. And I thought, no, I wouldn't want to, do that. I'd want to create something that adds more value. And then I started seeking a lot of stories of successful people, because I simply believe that if you want to be successful, read people who've been successful, because then there are a lot of successful people who've gone down and written books about how they went on to be successful, and nobody's reading that. Imagine this. But just by reading those books, I could avoid 10 years or 5 years of mistakes. Yes. And I can skip all of the mistakes, because I think every mistake a 23, 25-year-old guy is about to make, a lot of people in the past, they've made it.
Indeed.
So,
indeed.
For them, the only advice I every time give is just read books. Yes. And don't read it to completion. Just get new ideas and move on. Correct. And it's such an important observation that I've made, is that I go to a lot of events and I see youngsters as well. These guys, whenever there's somebody like Vijay Shekhar Sharma, there's somebody who's been Baiju Ravindran a couple of years back. Whenever these guys will see these successful entrepreneurs, they would run to them and say, what was that one thing that made you successful? I was watching one interview of Warren Buffett. He'd also said that a lot of people come to me seeking for my strategies of success, and I give it to them, and they walk back with the strategy and the success. But the moment I tell them that it took me 30 years to be successful, they say, no way. I'd want to use that strategy, but I'd want to be successful in 1 year. Right? So while they're seeking for the strategies, they've got tremendous amount of impatience filling them that they want the success now. And so my advice would be that be more patient, learn things, read books. If you want to be successful, read success people. If you want to be happy, read happy people. And if you want to be at peace, read about people who've written so much about peace. And there are a lot of case studies, right?
Yes.
So because you've written 3 wonderful books, the third one is about, you've just presented it to me, I sold my Mercedes at a loss. So again, what's the principle of the third book?
The third book is
It's got a very exciting title. I sold my Mercedes at a loss. So what's the urgency behind selling things?
So, as you know, the title is I sold my Mercedes at loss and got rich. So there's a lot of flip and contradiction in that. And that book
and got rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the name is so much connected to the topic that we are discussing right now. What I realized is, and again, there is nothing bad with it. It's just that I realized it one day, and I also got a sense of deep suffocation with that realization that I wanted to break that bubble and get out of it. So when you prosper, when you progress, obviously you start getting good things around you, filtered things around you. You get good house, you get swanky office, you get a car, you typically get a driver, either because you don't want to drive or you want to use your time for better things. And then with success, what happens sometimes, or most of the times, you start narrowing down your horizon, your sphere of living in, because you meet whom? You meet your likes. You meet CEOs, VPs, entrepreneurs. All of them have very comparable swanky AC glass offices. You have gated community homes. All good things, no complaints. You all worked hard to get it. So it's an accomplishment. But as a byproduct of that, you start living in a bubble and start getting isolated from real world. Something happened in my life, and suddenly I got a stark feeling of this many years back. And I said, no, this is not right. I don't want to be a numb person because I'm succeeding, so-called. So I wanted to get rid of at least to start with, get rid of my car and driver. And I wanted to get back into mainstream of life. And there was a lot of sense of urgency because of that desperation. I said sense of suffocation as soon as I got that realization. So the title says I sold my Mercedes at loss, because that at loss word shows the degree of urgency that I was experiencing at that time. Which means if I waited a little more, maybe I got better offer for my car. So the illustration is, no, I wanted to do it right now, right then. And for 7-8 months, I stopped using car. I traveled in buses, trains, share autos, share cabs, started having food at roadside stalls purposely. I started mixing up with those people, talking to them, putting hand on their shoulder, knowing their stories, observing their stories. And then you realize how many times we read in newspapers, some rickshaw puller has a girl, a daughter or son who becomes IAS officer, and so many, right?
Yes.
What profound stories. I mean, all these rickshaw pullers and tea sellers and porters are around us. And they are real life heroes. We don't even realize. And we can draw so much inspiration from them. We can appreciate their stories so much. We can have empathy. Sometimes we can help them. We can support their endeavor. Somebody who is, let's say, struggling to make meal twice a day and is trying to make his son, maybe we know cricketers who have played IPL, who have played for India, who come from very, very humble background.
Yes.
Their fathers were not able to feed their families.
Obviously.
So when you see such people around them, you can help them, you can support them. But when you realize, for that you have to mix up with them, you have to understand that these people are around us. And that experience to me was so enriching that I became rich again. So I was born with my sensitivities as a human being, with flair to be, with keenness to be empathetic to other people, which slowly started kind of dying down in this bubble. And when I burst that bubble, it all came back to me in a matter of 7-8 months. So I went to cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, somewhere in Himachal Pradesh, somewhere in Bangalore. I did all this in all those cities.
Oh.
And there's so much of diversity, yet so much of commonality in all what happens, all these.
That's what makes
through-
India.
Yeah. So this is the book about.
So in all, I've taken a lot of your time, but the message is go for enough work to create enough impact, to have enough money that you can buy that Mercedes and afford that driver. And at the end, be ready to sell your Mercedes at a loss and get rid of the driver to get back to the auto where you're in watching us today, because that's how life completes its loop.
Actually. And so beautifully you summarized, because what we are possibly concluding with is a beautiful answer to the question where we started from.
Yes.
What's money and how much
Yes.
money is right?
Yes.
Is money good or bad?
Yes.
I mean, what you summarized is a beautiful answer to all those questions, I think.
Yes. But thank you, Sandeep. It was great to have you here and have this impromptu chat. There was absolute no preparation from both of us ends, and it turned around a very natural conversation.
Right.
Best of luck for your third book, and I look forward to hosting you again soon.
Thank you. You always inspire, Razum.
Thank you.
And I keep learning so much from you all the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.